night, guys. Good night.
Hey, everybody. Good night, everybody. Good night. Welcome back to another live. Good night. How you guys doing? How you feeling? Good night to you. Yes.
Welcome, guys.
Hey.
Welcome, welcome,
Hey.
welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey.
Welcome, guys. Welcome.
Good night. As you're coming in, go ahead and share the live. Go ahead and hit thumbs up. Share with at least one person as you are coming in. Good night. Good night. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Hi. Hi. Go ahead and put in the chat who you are, where you're from, how you're feeling, all that good stuff.
Yes, yes,
All that good
yes.
stuff. All that good stuff. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome.
Welcome, guys.
Good night. We are so happy to be on to another live. Let me just go ahead and share quickly as well. Welcome. Thank you guys for those who are out early.
Yes,
Well, not
yes.
early because we're not early either, but when we
We're early
started.
now. We're early.
Yeah, the time zone
Yeah.
change, guys, and it is where sometimes we give some people some time to come on. But welcome, guys. Welcome back to the channel. You ready? When
Yes.
two become
One.
one. We
Yes,
are
yes,
the
yes.
channel when two
Two
become
become one.
one. And my name is Shanice Layla Bogle. Before I go to my name, what do we do? This channel is here to establish or to help rebuild and build and rekindle families of fire. The passion and the purpose in marriages that it was once there and may somehow have dwindled. Our job is to provide information, experiences, things that are cutting edge, like research based information, not just feelings, but factual, evidence based, and faith based, scriptural, Bible
Amen.
based information because it is a faith based channel. Hey, Samantha.
Big up, Samantha.
Big
Big
up,
up
big up,
yourself.
big
Big
up.
up yourself.
And again, so that is what we do. We're here to also help the whole man walk in purpose and the calling and destiny of God. If you're married, if you're single, welcome. If you have not subscribed, please go ahead and consider subscribing, being a part of our family. And this is your safe space. A lot of people wish and hope that when they were growing up, they had something
Yes,
like this. A lot
definitely.
of people say that. And so tonight, we want to avail ourselves to you guys as the Lord leads. So, my name is Shanice, and I am a trauma, relationship, recovery, and healing specialist. And it's
Amen.
a long, wordy, winded description, but
Yes.
really, I help women heal after childhood trauma. And the reason it is healing and recovery is because there are those who are on their journey after healing and want a touch up, a brush up. And so we call that recovery. Some may, fall into relapse and they want that support and guidance to go forward. And beside me is the co-host of this platform, my husband, who is co-founder or founder. I'm co. He's the founder of When Two Become One. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Guys, short and spicy. My name is Anthony Bogle. I'm a relationship and marriage speaker.
Yes, yes.
Just here to give the Lord thanks.
He's here to give the Lord thanks.
Yes, guys, I'm a marriage and relationship speaker, guys. Enough love,
Amen.
enough love, enough love.
All right. So, what are we talking about tonight? What we're diving
The
deep into.
seven rings of marriage.
All right, the seven rings of marriage.
Yes.
That sounds like a whole heap of twist up and turn up and whole heap of corners. Seven rings in marriage, seven rings of marriage. Are there only seven rings? By the way, Sam, how you doing? Put in the chat how you're doing. But seven rings of marriage. Are there seven rings or stages or states or are these just aspects of how we will be connected and entangled as we go through the process of marriage? I don't know if you want to even use the word entangled, but I look forward to diving deep into this topic.
Yes,
It
yes, yes.
is very informative.
Definitely.
Yep, and we want to start out by saying that the rings in a marriage are very symbolic, right? And they say that the ring is symbolic of promise and commitment, and because it's a circle, it's circular, it's an unending long and promise of commitment
Yes.
forever, because that is how the word of God, the Lord himself intended that marriage should last for a lifetime. And so marrying well and right is very important. So this idea of rings in the marriage, we're going to really take a personal or a conversational aspect to it tonight, where it's not just teaching and giving information.
Yes, guys.
But we want to talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk.
Pick each other's brain.
Pick the brains. I'm
Yes.
doing well. Thank you. Always nice to listen to you both. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha.
Good to learn from you as
Making
well.
our night. You made our night. Thank you.
Yes. All right.
Ah.
Go ahead and share what you want to share.
Yeah, so yeah, we are talking about the seven rings of marriage. You know, personally, you touch on a very vital you made a very vital point when you said it's never ending. The ring is
Yeah.
never ending. Continuous circle.
Yes.
And so I feel like if anybody that is approaching marriage should look at it as a lifetime decision.
Yes.
And that's why I always say, when you're step into that to that to that journey, that beautiful
Yes.
journey, you should always equip yourself with as much information. And I get it, guys. We
Yep.
always talk about you can never be too prepared for this journey, but at the same time, you cannot approach it in a wishy-washy and whatever. Sometimes, or a lot of times, even ourselves, we were just diving in and pushing and wanting to experience this wonderful thing because
Oh yeah.
of what we see on the TV and what we hear some people might say and
Yeah.
what some persons might portray. You just want to experience that. You want to experience love, a lifetime of love and all the good stuff.
Yes.
But the thing is, nobody ever spoke. Well, I want to say nobody has spoken.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Some people don't take the time to
Yeah,
deep dive
and
into
I would say also that even if it was spoken about, it was never something we placed on the forefront of our minds.
Yep.
And again, and let's say how I looked at it. You remember when we had that conversation when we were younger, like just
Yeah.
pushing to get. I said, listen, the only difference is just that it's no different than having a girlfriend.
Yeah, that's what you were saying.
Yeah, it's no different than having a girlfriend. The only difference is that putting on a ring and saying forever.
Wrong.
But the
How wrong could he be? Very wrong.
yeah, but it's way more serious.
Yes.
It was way more serious than what I thought. Looking to spend your life with somebody that
Oh yeah.
you're saying, listen, eternity, and
Yeah.
it does something to the mind. You understand, because if you're not focused on the values and when it comes to the biblical aspect,
Yep. Yep.
and it soaks in when you realize that, listen, it's one woman for a lifetime.
Yep.
It's one person for a lifetime, because a lot of us, especially as men, our comfort zone was, if this don't work out,
Yeah. You can probably
we
bounce.
we can bounce and find somebody else. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In the good times, in the bad times, we are called to work it out and fight it out. When I say fight for your marriage.
Yeah.
But that doesn't sink in until you're there and you realize, oh my God, oh
Absolutely.
my God, oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep, that is absolutely true. The commitment is not necessarily seen, the depths of the commitment. I remember when I was a teenager and I used to despise marriage. I did not like the idea of marriage. And I always used to say that I would never get married. You can't believe that, guys? I would say I'd never get married. Why? Because of the different things I saw couples go through. I heard even recently another young lady, she was saying she's indecisive of getting married because some things that couples go through, she don't think she don't want to go through that. Because marriage does come with a lot of testing. It's beautiful union.
Yes.
But the truth is that there are some rings. There are some circular going around, and it feels like it's never ending. Sometimes the process of change feels like it's forever. And
Yes.
so tonight we want to touch on some of those things that comes up in a marriage that are very important, that comes with the ring, comes with the ring. So the first one is the first phase, the promise of marriage, and this is the engagement ring. So this one is the literal physical ring, the engagement ring, the ring of promise. And so we know that this is the ring that everybody give when to say, oh, I intend to marry you. And I want to know from your perspective and even from your experience, when you engage me, or can we say that when you got engaged, or however the process is
Yes.
termed, they say that this is the phase where you go into more self development, especially development with God. And so, if anybody's online here and you are engaged or you are praying for that engagement, you want that proposal, that promise to get married, what is the state of your being right now? Are you digging deeper to get established? Because some people call this the mourning phase, where you are working into grooming the self in every aspect of the way. So what kind of person you think you were in the engagement phase, or with the engagement ring? Because that's the first stage to walking through the door of a marriage, preparing for marriage, the engagement ring number one. So take us back.
Excitement, it was very exciting. It was an exciting experience.
Yeah.
A few things was taken away, like going down on the knees and doing all that. I really did not get a chance to experience that. But outside of that,
Yeah. Due to tradition.
yeah,
Church tradition.
church tradition.
Yes.
But I feel like it was pure excitement. I
Yeah.
just wanted to get there. Yeah.
Yes.
The engagement. I want to say it was long. It was a long process.
Well,
But I
about
really
4 months. It
yeah,
was
about
about
that.
4 months. Yeah.
I really enjoyed the whole aspect of preparing and getting stuff together, and we're doing it together, and
Yeah.
picking out this and deciding where and doing all of that. So it was a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
Um, was I really thinking about anything else further down the line?
No. Yes, guys. I remember when one part of it was
Yes.
my mom was very concerned for us because I think I just left university, and so the funds never, it wasn't coming in that
Yes.
much, and he was a young man just starting out working. We're married for about
I
13
was
years.
just starting out working.
You never just start
I was
working?
always working. Don't
Yeah,
do
I
that.
know.
Don't do that.
Sorry about that. He was always working.
I was always
But
working,
I
yeah.
just started working
Yes.
because I just finished university. And my mom was saying, you guys better save. We don't have no money for the wedding. And my husband was, well, at the time, he was very excited. He was like, Mom, I got it. I got it. Don't worry about it. And there are moments when we really struggled. But
Yes.
when you're excited and you're engaged, there's this feeling of importance, and it feel like you get status. So that's why a lot of people want to be engaged, or them want the man ring, them want the woman say yes to the ring. And there's this level of excitement, and it's like, you ever hear the term put some respect on my name? Yes, you get that feeling when you are engaged. Like you feel like now people let you in the rooms of conversations because you have on a ring. Normally they would lock you out and say, no, it's not time yet. But you are allowed to, feel a little bit important and mature and grown. So that's the first ring. However, for real, with this promise of marriage, a lot of people don't think beyond the wedding day. The mindset is focused heavily on the wedding day, a picture perfect wedding. And a lot is not taken into consideration for the marriage. So let's go to ring number 2. You want to move on, or you want to pause a little bit?
I would say, the engagement phase is very vital.
Yeah.
We talk about the single phase and how important that phase is. The phase of preparing yourself as a single person.
Yeah.
Doing as much stuff as you can to get to that place where you feel like I'm a whole person stepping into this.
Yeah.
And so the engagement phase, the excitement is there, as we were just talking about.
Yeah.
But also I feel like it was just never a time. Well, I want to say there was never a time. But as we said, you're just filled with so much excitement that you're not thinking long term. You're not thinking about, okay, what is going to happen after this moment.
Yeah.
So you're just
Yeah.
pushing and laughing and
Yeah.
jumping for joy and going showing off there and showing off to friends there.
Yeah.
But I feel like while it is okay, it's a natural response.
Yeah, it is.
It's also that moment where I feel like it's good to pause
Yeah.
and reflect. You get what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And I feel like why a lot of persons really don't, is because they feel like I found the one.
Yeah, I've arrived. Yeah.
I have found
This
the
is
one.
it.
This is it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And I feel like maybe again church tradition where where we were, why we weren't able to do our thing like everybody else. You go on
Yeah.
on one knees and you say, hey, will you marry me?
Yeah.
And the reason for that was, just in case something goes off or goes wrong,
With the engagement.
yeah, you would not feel like a disappointment.
embarrassed,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
persons will look at it would not be taken so strongly
Yes.
in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was that phase where we were just splashing and dashing and just
Yeah.
looking to the future. Living in the moment.
Yeah. And a lot of couples see how well they gel together in the engagement phase. Sometimes when you are engaged, that's where some of the true colors come out when when you have to face struggles together.
Yes.
So struggles like the planning, the frustration, the intensity, working together. The
yes.
wedding plans can be very frustrating, and this is where a lot of people will get into their first arguments. Oh, we've never had an argument,
Yes.
but now we are planning this wedding, and it really pulls out the worst and the best out of you. Some part of the experience, you may see some signs that maybe, oh my God, is this really what I'm getting into?
And that is why I mentioned
Yeah.
if it don't work out, that because you have persons might see certain signs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're like, okay,
Already
don't put
engaged.
on the ring already.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, but and don't be afraid, guys.
yes.
I don't want to say normalize breaking up your relationship or your engagement, but don't forget that the engagement ring, that first doorway or step to initiate the marriage, is not the final say. If there are things that need to be worked out,
Yes.
put a pause on things
Yeah.
and say, let us go to counseling, let us talk to somebody. I don't really like what I'm seeing. I'm not going to penalize you to say, oh, you are not husband material or wife material. But if there are some things that need to be worked out while you are engaged,
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid to call it out and
Yes.
get help. Intervene, because a lot of people see things in that first stage and
Turn a
don't
blind
want
eye.
to say anything, turn a
Yes.
blind eye
Yes.
and move on. And then when we get to the second ring, problem. So number 2, the second ring in a marriage is the wedding ring. And this is the ring where you are walking into the commitment. You are saying yes for life, and you are now at the stage where, you never stop it in the engagement phase. You basically can't say no at this point. Now you are quote unquote stuck with the person. And the question to you is, when you got married, when we got married, and you can ask me too, when you got married and you put on the ring, did you see anything, or how did you feel? How did you perceive and navigate that moment? Were there little signs that you said, oh my God, if I could have stopped this from the engagement, I would?
To be honest, if I might not remember totally.
It's 13 years ago, guys.
Yeah,
I may not remember.
Yeah, I might not remember everything, but at the same time, what I do remember is it was good, the preparation and leading up to that moment. I wouldn't say it was smooth,
It wasn't
but it was
smooth at
really
all.
more about the financial aspect. But I feel like when we got to with that place where we say, okay, because I
Yeah.
remember even on my wedding day, I cried. I got
Yeah,
very
we did.
emotional. Yeah,
Yeah.
guy. I got very emotional. First I've cried in a long time.
Wow.
You know, it was very emotional for me. So, you know, again, even if there was
Something.
yeah, something, a slight this or a slight that was
Yeah.
negative, gone through the window, man.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, because again, you know, you're in this moment, you
Yeah.
know, you're savoring the moment and you're looking, oh my God, this is my beautiful wife, and you know, we're going
That's why you cried?
yeah, like it was, yeah, it was like, for me, it was looking at, oh my God, like, do I really deserve this? It's almost like, do I
Oh.
really deserve this? You know, you
Yes,
look
you
at your
do.
life, not saying I was the worst of the worst,
Yeah.
but you know, when you look at where you were coming from, like, you know,
Wow.
where you were brought, how you were brought up, and not saying I was brought up bad, but at the same time,
Yeah.
there was some unhealthy stuff that could have propelled me to you know, to a place where I am
Yeah.
living a certain type of life and I'm just continuing down a certain type of journey. Again, as I said, you know, your community affects you and it shapes you in a way that if your head is not screwed on and if you don't have some level of standards
Yeah, yeah,
and value about yourself,
Yeah.
you'll find yourself, you know, going down a certain road,
It's true.
you know.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for that journey, and I am grateful, you know, to God also,
Yeah.
you know, in how he molded and shaped my life. So at that moment, it was really about, Lord, do I really deserve this? Like
Wow.
reflecting, and it was a lot of emotions, you
A
know.
lot of things in one.
But it was just pure happiness and joy and thanksgiving at that moment. So, wow, like this is it, you know.
Yeah.
This is the moment.
This is the moment. You
Yes.
can't turn back. Well, you can, but most people just go through it because you're already at the altar. I remember I remember before we got to the wedding day, we were engaged and we were finalizing. Maybe it's a week before the wedding, guys. And I had this thought that, oh my God, wonder if I'm getting married to the wrong person
You
because
serious?
no, the reason being is because we went to look at the place. We went to look at the reception place, the ballroom, and I think I made the reservation, and so I was sitting in the car outside, and I think something was wrong with I didn't feel well or something like that, and I wanted him to go inside to check with the lady about the reservation. And I was saying, can you please go? And you said, no, you're the one who made the reservation, so it makes more sense that the lady would remember you
Okay.
and go. It's best you go.
Yes.
And in that moment, my heart just crushed because I was like, what kind of person am I going to marry? He doesn't want to go. But then I realized something about myself, that it wasn't so much about him not going or saying, no, it makes more sense if you go. I realized how not having a father impacted me, and I did not work it out before getting married.
Oh, Jesus.
That's one of the moments when I realized that, oh my God, me going into this, I may have something there unresolved about my father wound, because I was now taking that as a quote unquote flaw, and it wasn't a flaw. It was me being too lean up on him, like
yes, yes.
he's a crutch,
Depending.
dependency. And guess what, guys? I took that same behavior into marriage.
Yes.
I walked with that into marriage and got offended when he stood firm to say, no, it makes sense, or no, this is something that you need to do. It's not that he can't help, because he did come with me, but I didn't want to go at all. I wanted him to do it by himself. And so it showed me that there are really some flaws that get exposed in the engagement ring phase, and we need to really be deliberate about uncovering them, because I swept that under the rug and said, no, something wrong with him.
Yes.
And still got married, but at the same time, it was really a wound I never paid attention to. I didn't even know that thing affected me until, guess what? Because it was unnoticed, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I was doing more things and more, stern, cold behaviors in marriage, because during engagement, I played off all of those things and think, oh, maybe something wrong with him. So that's very important to pay attention to, which moves us into the ring number 3. which is the discovering. When you get married now, you move past commitment. Now you're with this person in the same house, and now you have to discover. And in the discover phase, you're uncovering. Now, can you tell me some of the things that you discovered about me when we got married? You know, first maybe 5 years. The discover phase is where, you know, things are now becoming exposed. You're seeing patterns. You're learning triggers. I'm seeing triggers in you. You're seeing things that trigger me. And we probably, they said the first 2 years are the hardest. You think we had a great first 5 years, or it was rough?
Yeah, it was rough. I would say it was
bad.
definitely rough. You know,
Rough,
again,
bad.
you know, I can remember even in back in my dating phase, you know, dating different people and, you know, having
Yeah.
intercourse and whatever it is. And it was something that, and I always say it, you know, a lot of times you will look at a person that you're not really attracted to.
Yeah.
But because of, you know, wanting to do this and wanting to, you know, I'm talking about have sex.
Yeah.
You know, when you're thirsty, you know,
You're thirsty again.
yeah, when you're thirsty, you know, this person look like, oh my God, is the it. The situation looks like the it, and so I believe for a lot of persons, including myself, you know, the red flags were there, but at the same time, you just want to get to that place, getting married and start, you know, having sex and, you know, living the
Legally.
best life. And so when it finally gets into your hands, when you finally say, okay, we pass the bam bam bam, and know we're married, and you finally do the do, and you know things are just flowing, you now start to see the things that you have never, you know,
Seen.
really paid attention to.
True colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you say, okay, this person is mine now. All of a sudden, all the things then we used to, you know, you used to say, well, it's not a big deal, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You start to uncover, and so you know, the first 5 years it was terrible. I would say, for me,
Whoa.
yeah, it was.
You did rough
because
for real.
Yeah, the arguments, conflict resolution was never our strong point.
No.
Because I realized that, you know, as soon as I might say something that you might not like, and it doesn't have to be something detrimental or you know,
Yeah.
disrespectful or anything like that. It was really just some.
Once it felt like blame.
Yeah. Once it seemed like, okay, I'm attacking you, you know, you will lash out and
Yeah.
you're not quick to digest what I'm saying.
Yeah, I listen.
Yeah, you're not quick to digest it. You always have something a clap back.
Yep. That's true.
And I was like, what is this? You know, every time something goes off and I might seem like I'm,
Yeah.
you know, behaving a certain type of why you always say, why you don't leave? Why you don't leave? If you can't take it, why you don't leave?
Yeah.
And I always thought about it and I would say, hey, why are you the one that is saying I should leave? You know,
Yeah.
I think if I am feeling some type of way about how you respond, I should be the one to say, hey,
yeah,
I'm going
yeah,
to leave, but
yeah.
you're pushing me away. And that was a crazy
Yeah.
a crazy moment.
Yeah. And it brought me back to that, and thanks for sharing that. That's a very great point, a very good analogy to insert right there, because discovering, you hear some things that comes out of your partner's mouth. You see some patterns. They said, see me and come live with me. Two different things. So
Yes.
when you don't live with a person, and you just see them, you have this expectation. They communicate sometimes differently when you're just talking over the phone, but when you and the person now live together, oh my God, it's like there's nowhere to run. You don't have a plan B, and so you have to, the pressure burst the pipe now.
Yes.
You have to give your true sense. Even sometimes they catch you slipping, even if you used to know how to hold it in, now you can't, and now you don't, because the pressure is there now. You are stuck, or for want of a better word, with this person, and what's on the inside will eventually come out. So as he said, I used to say a lot, if you can't deal with it, then leave. And again, that was based on that wound I did not realize was there so much. And so I was discovering this about myself, and I'm discovering things about him, and I'm saying, I can't meet that. I can't meet that, because if you know anything about trauma, people who go through those things can't take too much. They
Yes.
feel overwhelmed easily,
Mm-hmm.
even overwhelmed by love.
Yes.
Sometimes it becomes too much for the infatuation, and not the infatuation, but the expressions of love. Sometimes the requirements. So it's hard to be loved and it's hard to love. It's hard to accept the love and it's hard to give the love. Why? Because you just don't have the capacity that you were never given. You were never given. I was grown. My mother loved us, loved me. Father loved me, yes, but they were separated. And guess what? We were grown a lot of times separately. So we're in the same house, but I'm in my room, my sister in her room, my brother is in his room, and we're all doing our own different things. My mom is in her room, and everybody is just in their own space. So you see, when I got married, I want my own space.
Ah.
I want my own space. I don't want to be bothered too much. I don't want, and to me, I'm not saying I don't love you. I'm not saying I'm not
Just
your
your
wife.
programming. Just your
It's just my programming. I am programmed to be in my own zone and I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to cuddle. I don't want you on me. I don't want to be on you. Guys, thank God for healing, because even sitting here like this would have bothered me. I don't want to be on anybody. I don't give hugs. I don't cry. I don't express. I don't like people. So God and healing did the work. And his love, of course, because he was very steadfast in ensuring that my mindset knew his aim for us is to be married consistently, forever and ever and ever. To him, divorce wasn't his option. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah.
Yes.
Divorce wasn't his option. And I used to question that. Like, as a female, I'm telling him to go. But he never once said, you know what, I'm going to leave. He never used to say that. And so I was discovering that I have something within that needs to be sorted out, because that wound towards the dad is coming out on him. I was stifling that growth in the
And you
marriage.
know, I feel like that is where a lot of persons, when it comes to, you know, marriage, they don't really. It's hard to survive that time.
It's true.
You know, the discovering phase, because one, I believe there are a lot of, you know, young persons. You know, you enter into marriage with that programming, and I'm talking about you're just used to a way of life.
Yeah.
Your mind now says this person, you know, and the mind, it is trickery. One,
Yeah.
sin,
Yeah.
and you know the programming of your mind. Why I say sin is that when you are out in the world, or let's say, you know, you're used to having a girlfriend, you know, a girlfriend, and then you break up, you know, you run to another person.
Yep.
There's that programming. You're used to that programming. You know, you date this person. You know, sometimes it's quick. You understand? Sometimes a week, sometimes 6 months, sometimes a year,
Yeah.
and you're just used to hopscotching, and you have that programming signed and sealed in your mind, and now you're
Yeah.
entering into marriage. And again, as I said, if it's not for the grace of God, because I
Yep.
can remember, even, you know, you were saying this and you were saying that, why you don't leave,
Yeah.
that programming kept plaguing my mind.
Like you hearing it a lot.
Yeah, like, because you kept saying that, it's like I started to entertain it.
Yeah.
You know?
Opening the door.
Yeah, I
get
started
that.
to entertain it, like, man.
Yeah.
And again, we always talk about that your safe space.
Yeah.
Like, man, I'm used to this and it felt good. Why am I now sitting down with this person that's
It's one
constantly...
person.
Yeah.
One woman.
Yeah, why am I sitting down with this person that is kept saying, you know, if you can't deal with it, and we're arguing back and forth.
Yeah.
And that is the danger in the discovering phase and the programmings and all of that.
Yeah.
And that's why I would say in this phase, or in marriage overall, you have to be intentional.
Yeah.
Every single day, be intentional about your partner. You know, the Lord says, you know, love your wife, and
Yep.
you know, to the wife, you know, honor your husband, and
Yeah.
do all of that stuff. And so sometimes we become complacent. You know, complacent. Oh, this, you know, he have to do this or she have to do this. But no,
Yeah.
even though it's a command, you have to remember that we have choices. It's both persons choosing each other every day.
Every day.
It's
Every day.
both persons making that decision to love
Yeah.
each other, to to care for each other, to
Submit to.
yeah, submit to each other.
Yep.
It's a constant decision of two persons.
Yeah.
So if one person is slacking up, you know what's gonna happen.
The pressure
You get what I'm
being on
saying?
the other.
So never, I would say never be complacent. Never feel like, okay, this person has to do it.
Yeah.
While it's a command, and he's saying, listen, both person do this. Remember, we have choice. We have choices. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So never be complacent. We're okay. I'm just gonna sit back because he love me already, man. Or
Yeah,
she love me
yeah,
already.
yeah.
No, keep intentionally putting in the effort in the union, intentionally serving each other, intentionally loving each other.
Yeah.
It's an intentional thing
Daily
every
choice.
single day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And that would take us into our next ring, which is ring number 4, and that's suffering. So after divorce, God forbid, after divorce, after discovering the D word, we now go to suffering. And so the suffering phase is one of the most experience phase in a marriage, and it doesn't mean that you are suffering at the same rate as others. There are some different kinds of suffering. Some people suffer through sickness, some people suffer financially, some people suffer family wise, where listen, the family that I am in, this is a test to my faith. Some people don't have great in-laws, and so there are different levels of and categories of suffering. Sometimes it's the children, God forbid, who are just not walking in the path that you expected them to be walking in. And then sometimes it is really the communication. Oh my God. One of the biggest ways that couples can brutally emotionally suffer. And then there are moments where it's the emotional side. One is emotionally unavailable. One is too much available. One don't know if they're available at all. One don't want to be available. So can you share some of the things that we have been through, that, and I like to say that I've discovered that suffering is a great way for some things to die in your relationship. Suffering can lead to the death of some things. And so I want to encourage somebody before you respond. If you are in your marriage right now and you are at that stage where you feel like this is the suffering stage of the marriage, don't forget, this phase and ring, quote unquote ring, is the area where a lot of couples don't stay together. There are a lot of incidents that happen in the suffering state. For example, statistics show that the finances are one of the biggest ways there is suffering and separation.
Yes.
So the finance don't just affect the feeling of the suffering or comfort, but it disturbs the union, where a lot of marriages are broken because of there's no money. And when people are frustrated, they either become addicts, they become frustrated, they become overwhelmed, they become promiscuous, they commit adultery or infidelity, they find emotional ties. Sometimes they don't do the full act, but they become bonded with other people. I remember one wife saying to me, Shanice, for real, I take him money because guess what? My husband cannot provide and I need some things.
Yes, yes.
And listen, I took the money. And so sometimes we get attached to things outside to provide comfort. And then there are those healthy couples who cling to the Lord, cling to each other during suffering. Suffering is a time that can provide an opportunity to shine. And so, again, if you don't remember anything, try to remember that during your suffering stage or suffering, when you are in that ring of fire, when you're in the ring of fire, wives or husbands, remember that God is your source of strength because He's the one who instituted marriage.
Yes.
Some things has to die. Some things will have to die so that restoration, when the fire burns, restoration can come into that home because some things had to die. So don't fear the dark days. Don't fear the bad days. Some things have to become exposed so that things can be burnt and cleansed and restored, so that your marriage, your union can move forward in a renewal, a refreshing. It had to die. So can you share some of the things that we went through, as or you can remember, regarding the suffering stage?
Suffering. My God.
Every word, the word strong. But of course,
Again, I would say the hardest part for me was how we communicated.
okay.
It felt like talking to a brick wall. Trying
Oh
to
God.
communicate with a brick
Oh
wall.
my. Wow.
Yeah, and again, because you're used to, you would call quote unquote was an easy road, like
Yeah.
that easy road where it was light work when it came to dating other people, like being with other persons. You have
Yeah.
never met somebody that was just so,
Hard to talk to.
yeah, and it just seemed like you were so cold, and again,
Yeah.
you know my love language already.
Yeah.
The whole emotional part of it, and
Yeah.
lovey-dovey and all that, and you are, find yourself with somebody that you're saying, okay,
We
if
don't
we
want
didn't
that.
know,
Yeah.
how did I get here?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? How did I get here? And you felt like it was like, oh my God, am I being punished? Like,
Oh
am I being
wow.
punished? Like I knew
Yeah.
I was just doing certain things back in the day, and I've
You
hurt a
pay for your
few.
sins.
Yeah, was I paying for my sins?
Oh wow.
And so that for me was you would say, quote unquote, the suffering phase,
Yeah.
because it's almost like, oh my God, am I going to continue? Because again,
Yeah.
divorce was never in my mind.
Praise
And
God.
again, guys, if one thing I learned, you see, that it's something that is always said.
Yeah.
If you want to know if you are a real man, hold on one relationship.
It's true that.
Yeah, to know if you are a true man, a real man, is when you can hold on one relationship.
Yeah.
Being in different relationships, hopscotching, child's play,
Yeah.
boy thing. You get what I'm saying? When you're a man, you have to, you talk about, you say suffering in this aspect.
Yeah,
You talk
yeah.
about, the fruit of the spirit. We talk about long suffering and patience and
Self-control.
self-control,
Yeah.
all of that. I had to discover that. I had to make that a part of who I am. And again, if you're serving God, it should be. It should be a part of who you are. If you're truly serving God, the fruit
Yeah.
of the Spirit, love, patience, all of that, it should be
Yeah.
a part of who you are as a child of God. So that for me at that moment, I was like, my God,
It's a communication.
yeah, the communicating aspect of it, it was
Terrible.
terrible, man.
Oh Lord,
Communication,
I'm so sorry.
and I feel like the lack of emotion, like we
Oh,
weren't emotionally connected. Yeah, we weren't
Yeah.
emotionally connected, like
Yeah, that's true.
hardcore. It was.
I like seriously used to wonder like, well, somebody
Yeah.
can really just love so like. It was strange to me. It was very strange to me. Very very strange. For me, I think my biggest aspect of suffering was financially. Oh Lord, we went through so many hard
Yeah.
periods of drought and strain and drain, and it's, guys, marriage comes with so many rings, areas of you sometimes feel entangled, and it's really because you don't have any plan B's. You can't have plan B's with your spouse. Your spouse is your A to Z. You guys have to figure it out together with the Lord. You have to work it out with the Lord. If you are not that person where you are set on the one person and you can't hold your own, guys, you would really want to get some time into developing character. Because character, integrity comes out a lot in a marriage. Doing the right thing when no one is looking, integrity, it comes out a lot. And so the Lord taught me something. When I wrote this in my first book, when troubles come, trust me, they will. I wrote that when we just got married, and the Lord taught me how to struggle with integrity. struggle with integrity. I know God didn't want me to, or want us to suffer, struggle, go through that period, not learning tools, because I know that even though it wasn't his intention for us to always be like that, He used that situation to teach me how to not depend on others, to teach me how to not say like I'd go to somebody else for that relief, because I tell you, a lot of times my mind will go there like, no, I need relief, we need relief, we need something going on and working in this marriage financially. And so we had to learn, how to walk with the Lord and allow Him to reshuffle and reset
Yes.
finances.
You know what stood out to me in that moment? You know, I feel like the Lord truly had His hands on our marriage.
Yeah.
Um, and I will also say, guys, you know, our financial struggles was on our part.
Yes. I'm glad you said that.
It wasn't
God.
Yeah, it wasn't like God that punished we or
Yeah,
anything like that. It
yeah.
was really,
Or decisions.
or we made some bad decision,
Yeah.
and so it brings me to this point where, you know, and a lot of times we weren't taught these type of things. You know,
Yep.
there are things, there are vital things that we should know and understand and learn
Yeah.
before getting into marriage. And that's why we talk
Yes.
about it a lot. Where financial literacy, emotional maturity, like these different
Yes.
tools are what we're going to pull for when we get there, because money management, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
I failed in that big
Poor
time.
poor, we call it, relationship with money.
Yeah, like the financial
language.
literacy. Like, I wasn't so keen on that. I just feel like, okay, we have money,
Yeah.
and so, you know, you have all the ideas and you just want to get this thing done.
Yeah.
But patience was one of the things that, you know, it wasn't something at the forefront of my mind. I just wanted to do
Investment.
a quick
Yeah.
thing, a quick that, and a quick this, and we made some bad choices. Like, I made
Very
some
bad.
bad decisions when it came to money, and so it had put us in a very bad place
Yeah.
financially. Like, we struggled, man. We struggled.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we talk about certain things, but I promise you guys, especially persons that are young and they're looking to get married,
Oh yeah.
learn financial literacy. Both persons, make sure your head screw on when it
Yeah.
comes to the financial part, because sometimes we just know, say, we go work and we get paid, and then we just buy food and buy
Yeah.
this and we just move on. But the investment aspect, you know,
Yep.
the long-term investment aspect, you know, like, these things matter, because now you're taking on a family where, listen, it's
Oh,
not
yes.
everybody you can go jump and say, you can lend me this or give me this, because
Yeah.
they're focused on their family also.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying, guys?
Yep.
They're focused, and then you don't want to look like a person that is just, you know, you have the look and everything, but you just don't
Yeah,
have
box
the money.
road.
It's
You're
not a
cute
good
and
look.
not no money.
Yeah, it's not a good look, guys.
Oh my God, it's embarrassing, to
It
be
is.
honest. Yeah. Yes.
You get what I'm saying? Your light are cut off because of that. Your this
Yeah.
are cut off because of that. Like, it's
We
not,
faced it.
Yeah, it's not a good place. So
Yeah.
sometimes you will look and say, I wonder if my marriage wrong, or you this and you that. When at the end of the day, you made some bad decisions. The money was there, everything was flowing the right way, but you made
Poor
some
choices.
bad decisions, and that is
Yeah.
where we suffered, man.
We suffered greatly. So yes, we had to acknowledge that one of the rings is suffering, and one of that suffering aspect, a lot of it were our fault. A lot of it was our fault because we made those poor decisions, especially financially. It set us back a lot. And so, you know, the other part of that is when we made those decisions, we now start turning at each other because we're stressed out. We're stressed and
Yes.
we're broke, and you know, we cute and nice, but we don't have no money. But I feel like a lot of young people,
Yes.
that's just jokes. We're not all up in ourselves. But I feel like a lot of young people are struggling financially, especially if you were not given that awareness that, hey, these are the things we prepare for. You put this down, you invest here, you invest there. And then we see a lot of, a friend and I were talking recently about how Christian girls many times don't know how to choose men who are financially stable. Why? Because you look at a cute face. And many times it's not so cute men don't know how to,
Yes.
manage money, but a lot of times women go for a certain look over the value of the person, the street smartness, or the investment strategies and the financial language that this person speak. We ain't running for that. We're going to be going for what looks appealing. And so please be very careful. Sometimes it's not the Prince Charming who you perceived. Sometimes she's not the fairy dolly that you perceived, but they can take you places. They can ensure that the destiny and purpose and will of God on your life is accomplished. Because I promise you, finances, we're telling you, financial availability is one of the biggest ways couples struggle, and many end up leaving because them can't take it no more.
Yes, yes.
They broke. They can't take it anymore. It's too much. It's pressuring. Them one fit in the bills. Wifey one paying the bills. Husband one fit in the bills. It's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure.
Yes.
Right? All right. So ring number 5. Persevering. Persevering. So because a lot of people don't make it through the suffering, when we come on to persevering, this is the part where we have to fight for your marriage. Fight internally, fight mentally, fight spiritually. I read in the Word of God one time that when you see contention in a house, there is pride.
Yes.
Contention is linked to, I think it's Proverbs 13. Contention is linked to pride. And so I asked the Lord, what fixes this? I read further and I found that having a teachable spirit turns this around. A lot of people don't persevere through the hard days because somebody's heart is filled with pride. I'm not saying, and we're not saying, that you're not getting hurt at some points in the marriage, or you don't feel hurt, or you don't feel like you can't go on. But perseverance is a key strategy.
Yes.
Fight. In church, when we used to do fasting and stuff, we used to say stick to itiveness. When you stick to what you are called to do, when you stick to God in your marriage, persevering can save a lot of marriages.
Yes.
Straight up, persevering can save a lot of marriages. And if you are encouraging someone who is going through a hard time, your job is not to tell them to run. Your first response is to teach people, encourage people how to persevere.
Yes.
Because that is a character that is going to be very noble in every walks of your life. Every walks, whether your job, whether your kids, whether your partner, your relationship, persevere. And we're not telling you to go persevere with nobody who you don't marry to and them not treating you right. You don't need to persevere right there. You need to pursue health. So we're talking about marriages. Now in your or marriage, and you can't ask me to. I feel like, yes. I feel like me ask you all of the questions.
No, I love it. I love it.
Alright, but
Yes.
how did you persevere? I want you to help a young man, like tell me, or a young lady, why were you so persevering? Because I remember when I used to be the one who wanted to just throw in the towel all the time. Was it like how you were grown, or why did you persevere all the time? Sometimes I feel like he carried me along, he pulled me along to say, no, we're not going anywhere, we're sticking this through. Why were you so persevering?
I think for me, why that was such a big part of my thing, it was really about, even I can remember, even though I was hopscotching all over the place, I was searching for love. I remember, just walking, through Apple Tree one night after leaving work. And I would say, Lord, I'm not an ugly person, I'm not bad looking. Why can't I find, why can't I find somebody that I can truly love? Like we have a genuine connection.
Yeah.
And not just a one-sided thing where a person might meet me and you say, oh my God, this guy look nice and we can do something. But on my end, I am not feeling this person. You know, I wanted a genuine connection between
Yeah.
both person, myself and that person. I'm like, Lord, why can't I find somebody? And that was way before I got saved.
Yeah.
Um, and so I feel like once I found the person, you know, you had all the qualities.
That's honesty?
Yeah,
Okay.
all the qualities that I was looking for. Well, because of the whole bubbles, hearts that was going all over the place.
You get tied in the ring.
Yeah, like, you know, I wouldn't say you had all the qualities, but you had the most important ones.
Okay.
And one of those qualities was the number one for me was how much you love God. You know,
Okay.
you know, very God fearing and you know, just you weren't easily manipulated
Okay.
in a sense where it's not about saying sweet words and all of that and you know you get all boomy and all of that. It was, even though at that moment I can remember being an unsafe person, for you it was really, hey, you know, God, 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 God. And I was like, whoa, like this is what I want. You get what I'm saying? This is what I want. And for me that spoke volume because in my mind I was looking at the fact that in long term, like
Yeah.
making this decision to walk with the Lord. In my moment where I'm down, you can pray me up, you
Yeah.
can encourage me.
Seesaw.
Yeah, like
Like the Anglican
encouraging
stuff
and all of
about-
that. And I feel like that is where a lot of persons go wrong, where
Yeah.
you know, trying to connect with somebody, they're not looking at the person's character.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really about how the person look and how them smell and how she this and how her body shape and all of that. Character is important.
Yeah.
Is this person, and again, when you're dating, you know, when you're courting, court for your future.
Yeah.
Date for your future. Don't just look at no, like, okay, bam, bam. Look
Yeah,
long
yeah.
term. I was looking long term.
Yeah.
Even though I was in that state, my mind, I was looking long term. I wanted somebody that can give me a couple kids. So at the end of the day, you know, I wanted somebody
a
fairly,
couple.
fairly young that, you know, we can grow together.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that is me personally.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was looking on those type of stuff. Somebody that I can build with, somebody that I can this, somebody I can that. But the most important thing for me was how God fearing you were.
Okay.
You know, I saw Christ in you. I saw somebody that doesn't waver when it comes to just a sweet words or, you know, me spend money upon you. But you stand on 10 when it comes to your relationship with God. So that for me was number one. So even though we were going through this and going through that, that spoke volume.
So that's why you pushed.
Yeah, I was like, you know, I need this
continuously.
person, you know, I need this person.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes you go do things and you know, you might look and say, okay, it might be greener on the other side. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes a lot of times, you know, you look at your stress and you say, man, you know, maybe I
True.
can go out there and find this person, but you might find somebody. You know, she might have the nice shape where tickle your fancy and she might look good and all of that. But at the same time, the core value is not there.
That's the word I circled. The core
Yeah.
values.
Yeah, the core value is
Yeah.
not there, and so you'll be searching eternity for that core value, and then you might find the core value, but she don't have, like, you just
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get what I'm saying?
It's gonna
So I'm
be
like, you know what?
something-
I found somebody that I know, you know, if we can get past this, if we can get to that place,
Yeah.
it would be beautiful.
Amen.
So I was just
Pushing to that point.
holding on, man.
So you saw the vision.
Yeah.
You saw the long-term vision.
Look at us now.
Look at us now.
Look at us now.
Oh my God, to God be the glory. To God be the glory. All right. So the core values, you said something really important. The core values and the principles of why you got married. And as a person really dictates how you fight. How you fight. Because if you are with somebody who did not take time to establish core values, you're going to be fighting with a shell. A lot of times people don't persevere and fight because the core values of that human being is not hinged on who made marriage, who instituted marriage. And not everybody is Christian who get married or saved,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So we have to give some props to those people who are determined to walk the path when they say I do. And so core values are what keep those people. The strength of the Lord plus their core values keep the believer. But the core value, the discipline, the determination that we are seeing this finish line together. If you are with someone who's not like that, and you can even see it, we talk about all the time, you can tell when somebody have a really dedicated life and determined and self-control. There was a word you used. For example, if you say you're going to fast until 6 and the person fasts until 1, it gives you the idea of, okay, who you're dealing with. If you say you're doing 2 days of cleanse and you only did half day, it shows the person's capacity. It's really exposing, okay, you're not someone who necessarily fights to finish your words or fights to fulfill the words. And so things like these really builds up to make you the man that you are or the woman that you are.
Yes.
And this person is who you will fight for and fight with. If this person, their word is not their bond, God help us. No, for real, like God help, because you are now having to go bump heads, go through suffering, discovering engagement ring, marriage ring with someone who is not committed to their words. And it's hard to build a marriage on that. It's hard to build a marriage with a shell.
Yes.
With a thwarped and warped mindset. And I can speak to even some of how I saw how my dad responded to the issue of the separation and some things that he would say like, forgive and forget that, because if you're saved then you forgive. The mindset of people says a lot, and so we have to be careful of how we get into marriage. Because if you get in with a certain mindset, you're going to destroy your spouse in that marriage. You're going to destroy your spouse. So let's move to the next one, which is the prospering. The next ring, the sixth one, is after you've suffered, after you've persevered, the next stage, psychologists say that every marriage goes through that loop, that cycle, that circle, the harmony, disharmony, and then the repair, if you stick it out. And yes, we know not many marriages or not all marriages end like this if somebody decides they're not staying. But if both of you decides to stay and work it out, then we enter into the prospering, where you persevered, you triumphed. Now intimacy is being rebuilt. It's better than ever. You're now armed with information to help other people. So what is one main point or one main strategy that helped you to prosper in the marriage? What can you say we did together to know you're seeing elements of prosperity? And prospering is relative.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I feel like a lot of persons might look at prospering as you start making money. And, we buy a car, we fly out, and you know, everything just nice.
Yeah.
But prospering for me was pretty simple, you know. And why I say simple, you know, is on the basis of how well we started to communicate.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't the material stuff, you know. We get this and we get that and money start coming and all of that. But for me, because of how we struggled in certain areas, and again, I remember the last time we spoke and I was saying to you, you know, even on this channel, I feel like this channel had helped me personally, like just how God, you know, as I said, put it in my spirit, and you know, here we are today.
Yeah.
For me, as I said to you, if we're on here telling people to live a certain way and be this type of person and persevere and all of that, but when we come off, we're bickering and that each other. It's like we're hypocrites.
Liars,
so I'm saying if we're not growing as this channel is growing, I am not comfortable. You get what I'm saying? I am not comfortable coming on and doing this and telling persons. So I want,
as it should be.
So for me, like we're going through this, we're doing this, and you know, we're still able to log off and still be in the element of what we are, what we're presenting. That for me is prospering. You
Woo,
know,
woo. Sweet, simple, and spicy, right?
yeah,
That's a sweet
yeah, that for me.
prosperity status, right? For me, I love the fact that we serve. We have a heart of service for others, and I do realize that it's like the favor of God, the floodgates of heaven open when we serve. It's when we don't serve and we're not doing anything for people, and in terms of like not ministry and platform, but privately. Him, he's a private server. He's very behind the scenes. For example, if he's at church and he hears someone gets up and give a testimony of lack, he would just slip outside and bless the person. Nobody has to know. Nobody needs to know. If somebody asks me, Shanice, so and so and so, if I say it to him, he's not saying no. He's going to pray about it, and normally his heart is just to give. He's a giver. And I'm a little bit more careful, and he's a giver. He's open. So when we serve, I really do realize that there is this level of purpose and a feeling of bond and togetherness and unity that for us is prosperity.
Yes.
So the ripple effect can come in money and service being offered to us in terms of speaking engagement, presentation, clients, sessions.
That's a byproduct.
That's the ripple effect.
Yes.
But the real core favor is when we are so tight-knitted, even in the face of if there is a challenge, once we are serving, we will tired on everything, But guess what? I do believe that as a team, we do very well with sticking to serving people.
Yes.
So that's for us, the prosperity. Number 7, the next ring, which I feel like is so important. And we're going to stop here tonight because we did say 7, is what we call the offering. Offering. What studies show is the 7th ring. And the offering, I don't know if you have a different version of it that you want to share.
The other version.
Or you want me to share my version first?
Oh, you can go.
All right, so offering, what I got from that is now how you offer up yourself and the whole you into this marriage. How do you now show up to your spouse and for your spouse, your family? When I was looking into this, it's like I heard this so strongly. Your first ministry is your home. Your first ministry. How are you offering up now yourself as like kind of like this sacrifice? You dying. You dying. You dying to self so that this marriage can, you, if you're a wife, you are submitting.
Yes.
And if you're a husband, you are loving as Christ loved the church and would give your life for your spouse, your wife. So the offering, this is where you learn to compromise. This is where you die to self. This is where you're serving. This is where you're nurturing. This is where you're, as you know, some people don't like the word micromanaging, because you're zoning into details to ensure that what you are giving is the best. What you are giving. And can you imagine, guys, if both spouses are living a life of daily offering, daily giving and living and dying to self? My God, this is what makes marriage work. That is what makes marriage work. Sometimes that is all we need to hear. If you are not a sacrificial person where you are saying, I will lay down my all for this person, then how is your marriage going to work? Because when you are in that zone, that mindset, then guess what? You will compromise.
Yes.
You will give up others. You'll forsake others just for this person. You will lean into the Lord so that you can get the directions of God so that you can lead your family. You will give up self. You will be, you will walk in this way where you're saying, okay, how can I serve you better? What can I do differently? This dying to self. Anytime you see a marriage prosper, them people are, those people, the spouses are basically dead.
Yes.
Dead to self.
Definitely.
Dead to self. What's his name? This podcast YouTuber. He said, I've never seen a corpse care about being on the ground.
On the ground.
I've never seen a corpse care about being on the ground. What does that mean? Dead people not care if you drop them in a dirt. Because if you're dead, you don't respond to certain things. Certain things don't not bother you. Nothing bother you actually. Okay? You're not alive to these elements. And so that's how the Lord wants us to live. What I love about the word of God is every basic principle that is to the church or to others are also to the married couple.
Yes.
I love that about the word of God. The couple still lives by the word. Sometimes we behave like couples have a different Bible. Like once we get married, you're under a different regime. Like nobody can talk to you. You do things your way. Or this not go for you. You can't do this. You can't do that. Or this not right, Samantha? Yes. Many people, and that is where you see where people start to idolize their marriage.
Yes.
Because some rules don't go for them. It is now about what they think, what they feel, them speak their mind. Oh, me's a married woman, me a married man, you can't talk to me.
Amen.
But the same word of God goes for you and me. And that's what I love about the word.
Like the live, guys.
Yes, double tap the screen.
Double
Like.
tap the screen. Double tap the screen.
All right, so I'd love for you to share in terms of offering.
Offering. You said a mouthful. I feel like the line of where you went, speaks volume. It's dying to self every single day, serving each other. You serving me, and I'm serving you. Being intentional, as I spoke about, in that part of the life. Being intentional, getting up every day, saying, "Listen, I'm going to be intentional about this person," and the person being intentional about me. But what I want to add to it is mentoring. Yes. And you could look at what we're doing as a mentorship thing when it comes to our marriage. Talking to persons about, or talking to you guys about this journey, not just coming and just teaching and telling you to do this, but also how we live our lives. Well, for me, and I know for my wife, we can't play hypocrite. We are giving you genuine stuff when it comes to how we live our lives, and also on the teaching aspect. But I feel like it's important because it's rare that you find people, especially in the church, that are mirroring what marriage should look like. It would be nice to have persons that are talking to young people, talking to persons that are looking to get there, where you can share certain things, what to expect and what to look out for, like things, substance. I don't know, I don't know if it's every marriage that is really struggling, that you can't really get to that place where talking to persons, sharing experiences, that can help a couple.
Very important.
Can help a newlywed, can help somebody that is considering getting married, getting married. And so I feel like that is something that is very, very important. Mentoring, like talking to persons, sharing, giving advice, and also I know it is important when it comes to the friends that you keep in your marriage. Because even though we're talking about mentoring, it's good to have mentors also in your marriage.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Both ways.
Because we might go through certain things, we might have issues and problems, and it would be nice to have persons in your corner that are like-minded when it comes to the values of marriage. They know how to counsel, they know how to give wise, not just counsel, but give wise counsel.
Godly counsel.
And godly counsel. That is important also.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Married people, talk to married couples, persons that you can entrust in, and
yes.
You can get. And I'm not saying that you might not have a single person that really
have them head screw on.
Yeah, have your head screw on. I used to just lean on, gotta be a married couple. But you do have persons that have them head screw on, where can give you real
Godly.
you know, godly counsel. You know, they might not be married, but at the same time, they're not going to be quick to say, leave the man
Yeah.
or leave the woman. You understand? Because they understand what this thing is.
Yes.
You know, and how important and how vital. You know, and all the stuff that surrounds
Yeah.
keeping this union together and fighting for your marriage.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying, guys? So mentoring is very important in a
Yep.
marriage.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and it falls under serving. You know, you're
Yeah,
really
yeah,
serving.
yeah.
You're really putting out the work when it comes to helping somebody in moving forward in that journey. So
Amen.
that was what I wanted to
Yeah.
add to that.
That's a very good point. Serving, serving, serving. They call
Yes.
that the evening phase, where after people have applauded you and say, oh, they're such good speakers, they are such a great couple. Now, after everybody clap, who wants to repackage what you have brought to the table?
Yes.
That is so important. It is high time for our single lives. Even if you will never get married, or you don't want to be married. It is high time for our quality of life to improve. Improve the quality of life, so people want to repackage what you bring to the table. If nobody wants to repackage what you carry after everybody clap, it makes no sense, because where are the lives that are changed?
Yes.
That is what I move for. That is what I move for, and that is why we serve in passion. You know, he's a little bit calmer in terms of expression. He's on the calmer side, but I am more on the fiery, passionate side, and it doesn't take away that he's passionate. But how we express ourselves may be different. But the underlying core of that is, what do people want to see repackaged? Do they want you? Do they want what you bring? Do they want what we bring? We must be able to mentor people in a way that even after we're gone, somebody wants to hear what Brother Anthony shared or Mr. Bogle shared. Somebody wants to see, okay, what did Shanice talk about? What did she, how did she serve while she's here? And so that is very important. Young people, single people, live your life in a way that you will be sought after. Married people, bring up the value and the quality of your marriage. That's why we're here. Not to bash, not to make you feel badly, but elevate the quality of your life, so that other people coming in this fold can see and learn that, hey, there's value there. We want that. All right, so we'll talk about the seminar. We're closing out with the seminar, right?
Yes.
Okay, so with the seminar, we are coming to you in Jamaica on May 31st. That's a Saturday at the Terra Nova All Suites Hotel, under the theme From Hurt to Healing.
Yes.
A lot of gems that we are not going to be giving away on here on any platform, but we are going to give them away at the seminar.
Yes.
We are going to be teaching you some very key strategies as to how to move from hurt to healing, either if you are single, whether you are married, whether you are divorced. And so come out if you're in Jamaica to the seminar. I put the link in the chat where you can register. If you are not in Jamaica, you're overseas and you want to sponsor someone, click the link, or you may send us a message, okay, so we can get your details and pass the ticket on to a couple or a single who wants to be there. There are many people who wants to come but may not be able to, for whatever reason. They need some help, and so we are helping those people. And if you want to help, please reach out. We are going to take great care of you. We have great meal selection, thank you souvenirs, packages, prizes, surprises, expert speakers. We have the cups, Brian and Basilia Barnaby Cuff. We have the Newells, Pastor and Sister Newell. We have Minister Williams, who is talking to the divorcees. We have The Walking Dead. That topic is going to shake the room for Minister Delmarie Williams, who faced even prostitution in her singlehood and moved from a space of living like a walking dead to healing, now ministering. And so we want to just really open the floor,
Yes.
so you can come on in. You will leave with the choice
Yes.
of an experience to shake your life.
Amen.
It will now be up to you.
Yes.
And so it promises under God God's willing, to be a great day. So come out and reach out to me if you need or have any questions about the seminar. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for being out with us.
Yes, yes, guys. A blessing and a privilege. Thank you for being on.
Thank you for being on.
Peace. God bless you guys.
Bye bye,
night, good
everybody.
night,
See
good
you on
night.
Monday.